Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea Show here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an honor and a privilege, as always, to have you guys joining me today. Whole bunch of stuff here to talk about today in the world of movies and entertainment. Some absolutely crazy stuff is going on in the world of movies right now. But listen, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a warning, a little bit of a technical inside thing. Some of you may notice I'm trying a new camera today, and here's the thing. I don't have a charger. They gave me a test unit of the camera and I don't have a charger. So it may actually die halfway through this show. And if it dies halfway through this show, I'm going to switch to this camera. But if it hopefully it won't die halfway through the show and we can do it like this. Anyway, guys, here's how today's show is going to run. I've got a few items in the world of movie news I'm going to run down. And then for the bulk of the show, I'm going to go to the topics that you guys have sent in to me. Now, how do you send in a topic to the John Campea Show? It's really quite simple. Simply email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. And this is important, guys. Make sure you put that word topic in the subject line. Put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, make sure you keep your emails to 90 words or less, or else I'm not going to even read it because I wouldn't even be able to fit it on the screen even if I wanted to. All right, guys. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the first thing. In what has to be one of the firsts I've ever heard happening like this. We talked about this just the other day. So Kevin Spacey, he's got this new movie coming out called All the Money in the World. Now, of course, Kevin Spacey has a lot of controversy surrounding him right now. So somebody on the John Campea Show the other day asked specifically, do I think Kevin Spacey could be pulled out of the movie? And I said, no, of course not. It's too late. They're not going to pull it. It would cost way too much money. Well, guess what? Like 24 hours after that, they announced that they are going to actually edit out the scenes with Kevin Spacey in the movie, and they are going to replace him with actor Christopher Plummer. Now, here's the funny thing. When I first saw pictures for All the Money in the World, like this one right here, I thought it was Christopher Plummer at first. So it's kind of funny the way that things work out. So look, like they said the other day, I said, no, they can't do this. They will not do this. They will not take Kevin Spacey out of the movie. It's far too late. The movie opens on December 22nd, and they said they're keeping that release date. It's far too late. He's one of the main guys in the movie. It would take far too long and cost far too much money for them to do this. So no way they're going to take him out. Well, then they did. But also in the reports about them pulling him out was one very specific and incredibly important piece of information that I did not know, which was this. Apparently, Kevin Spacey isn't in the movie as much as I thought. Now, I thought he was one of the prime main characters right beside Mark Wahlberg, right? Well, apparently, he only shot for 2 weeks for the movie. Apparently, Kevin Spacey's entire contribution to this movie was 2 weeks of shooting. Had I known that, then no, replacing that guy probably isn't that big of a deal. So they are editing out all of his scenes, having Christopher Plummer come in, redo all of his scenes. Apparently, they only need Mark Wahlberg for like 1 or 2 days because he only had a couple of scenes with Kevin Spacey anyway. And they still say they're going to make their December 22nd release date. That's ambitious. That's a lot of guts. That's a lot of gumption right there that they're going for. And if it works out, fantastic. I'm thrilled for them. But yeah, I can see why they would do it. Because look at this. Regardless, look, this is not a court of law. Nobody is sending Kevin Spacey to prison at this point. But this is a business. And right now, Sony as a business and Ridley Scott and his production companies are businesses. And from a business point of view, they're probably looking at themselves and saying, is having Kevin Spacey in our movie going to hurt us right now? With all the controversy going on surrounding right now, is this going to hurt us? And if they believe having Kevin Spacey in their movie is going to hurt them right now, and I don't think there'll be many of us that would disagree with them, that right now, right or wrong, having Kevin Spacey in their movie is going to hurt them. I don't think any of us can, begrudge Sony or Ridley Scott saying, you know what, we're going to lose more money right now if we keep the movie with him in it than if we just take 2 extra weeks, shoot 2 weeks of stuff, and put somebody else in the role. We're probably going to save ourselves a lot of money. We're probably going to make a lot more money at the box office than we would have otherwise, and we're going to save ourselves a lot of grief. And I don't begrudge them that. Look, you know me. I'm an innocent until proven guilty kind of guy. Absolutely. But this isn't a court of law. This is business. And from a business point of view, it looks like to me, and I think you would have a hard time disagreeing with this, from a business point of view, this is the right move. This seems like the right move. And like I said, it's just kind of funny that like less than 24 hours after I'm going, no, it's ridiculous that they would take Kevin Spacey out of this at this point. That's ridiculous. Don't be silly. Then less than 24 hours after that, boom, we're replacing Kevin Spacey. But yeah, like I said, had I known that he shot so little in the movie, that he was only shooting for like 2 weeks, and they can probably compact that even more, I might have thought a little bit differently of it. But from a big picture point of view, it does seem like it's the right move. It does seem like it's the right decision, and it's time to move forward. All right, let's move on with the next topic, and this topic is going to get a lot of people excited. It looks like there is indeed movement on the Metal Gear Solid movie. Now, a lot of people have been talking about a Metal Gear Solid movie for a while. We keep hearing reports off and on over the years that, yes, the studio wants to do it. Yes, they're going to move ahead with it. No, they're not. All this kind of stuff. Well, right now, what we found out is that Jurassic World's Darren Connolly is indeed writing a script for Metal Gear Solid. So now they've brought on an actual writer. They're working on it right now. They've got a guy moving full steam ahead. Now, as far as I know, and let's be clear about this, a Metal Gear Solid movie has not been greenlit yet, okay? Let's be very clear about that. It has not been greenlit, but they are moving forward on development to see what they can put together and bring into this whole thing. Now, for those of you who don't know much about Metal Gear Solid, one of the websites gave a really good synopsis of it, and they wrote this. So, the Konami video game series follows Solid Snake, which is a stupid name, but it's cool at the same time. A retired soldier who infiltrates a nuclear weapons disposal facility to neutralize the terrorist threat from Foxhound, a renegade special forces unit. He attempts to liberate 2 hostages, the head of DARPA and the president of a major arms manufacturer, and stops the terrorists from launching a nuclear strike. It's an action game series, whatever. But anyway, it's a very cool character. And a lot of people for a long time have been asking for a movie of this. The fact that they've brought on a guy like Connolly with a huge piece of success on his resume, like a big blockbuster like Jurassic World, that tells me they're pretty serious. Because you know they had to pay, just to get a spec script together, you know they had to pay this guy quite a bit. So if they're paying this guy money with a Jurassic World kind of thing on his resume, they're serious about it. Again, let's be clear. This movie has not been greenlit yet. They are talking about director. There's even 1 or 2 names that have been attached to it already, all that kind of stuff. But as far as I know, the movie's not been like what you would call officially greenlit. But I know a lot of people are going to be very excited about this. Could this be the video game movie? Could this finally be the one that breaks the curse and gives us for the first time an actual good video game movie? We thought it might have been Warcraft. I liked Warcraft, by the way, but most people didn't. So there, you can't say that one was successful. We all thought Assassin's Creed might be it. That one sucked a big pile of crap. It was awful. And now we're all kind of looking forward to it. But it seems like every video game movie that comes out becomes our next great hope. Maybe Metal Gear Solid Last of Us is one that a lot of people are talking about. That could probably maybe break the curse, perhaps. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. All right, let's move on to this. Now, the other day, we all know that The Rock is playing Black Adam. We've known that for 4 years. Then we thought at the time that he was going to make his first appearance, of course, in Shazam. Now we know that he's not going to be appearing in Shazam. Then we heard he's going to get his own standalone movie. So Johnson is actually going to make his first appearance in the DCEU in Suicide Squad 2. That's the report coming out of the Rapid anyway. This has not been confirmed by anybody else, but that's what they are claiming at this point. Now, the one reason I will give a little bit of attention to this particular rumor that comes from the Rap is because of something Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said back in May. Here's something Dwayne Johnson said back in May. He said the following: "We have a really cool surprise for Black Adam that I can't reveal in terms of where we will see Black Adam being introduced." Now, I remember back in the day when he made that comment, when Dwayne Johnson made that statement, I remember a few of us saying, oh, maybe it'll be Justice League that he pops up in. Maybe it'll be here. So clearly it's going to be something outside of Black Adam. I'll be honest with you, I had not considered the possibility of Suicide Squad 2. What the Rap is saying is that Suicide Squad 2's storyline will revolve around the squad being sent on a mission to find this weapon of mass destruction. And the weapon of mass destruction is Black Adam himself. Now, On one hand, I think that's pretty intriguing that they would do that. On the other hand, if you know Black Adam will throw down with Superman, all right? He won't win, but he will throw down with Superman. I actually think there might have been one or two examples in the comics where maybe he did get the best of Superman, but for whatever. There's something really intriguing about that. But to have the Suicide Squad, which is, especially after the loss of Diablo, a guy with a boomerang, a girl with a baseball bat, a guy with really good aim, just a military guy, but one guy who's half human, half crocodile. Okay. Sending that team after Black Adam doesn't seem rational. It doesn't seem like a fair fight. Like, seriously, what's Harley Quinn going to do? Hit him with a baseball bat? What's Deadshot going to do to the bulletproof man? Shoot him with his gun? I'm not quite sure. But then again, you can make the argument. Well, how's Batman going to fight Superman? Hey, fair point. Fair point. And yet Batman won that fight. But it does seem like a little bit of a lopsided thing. But still, so let me ask you guys this. If they do introduce him in Suicide Squad, do you like that idea? Now, I will admit, the one question it kind of raises to me is like, well, hey, if you're willing to introduce him in a movie other than Black Adam, if you are okay with the idea of not having Black Adam's first appearance in a Black Adam movie, why not Shazam? Why Suicide Squad 2 instead of Shazam? Now, you can also make the argument that, hey, like Black Adam is Shazam's arch nemesis. We're not going to have Shazam, Billy Batson, ready to face a Black Adam in his first movie. Okay, I can accept that rationale. I can go with that logic. I mean, I could still totally see the argument for why you should put Black Adam in there. But if you want to make the argument, hey, you know what? This is an origin story for Shazam. Where he's going to be at, he's not ready to go toe-to-toe with a Black Adam in his first movie. Okay, I can do that. I mean, look, Christopher Nolan didn't have the Joker in the first Batman movie in Batman Begins. So that's fine. Okay, that's fine. So the idea of Suicide Squad, it's not one I would have guessed, but it is an intriguing one. What do you guys think? Jump into the comments section below and let me know your thoughts on that. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys know, too. I forgot to mention this, that near the end of the show, I'm going to save a block of time. For those of you who are watching live, and there's like already 1,000 of you in the live chat board, but for those of you who are watching live, I'm going to save a block of time near the end of the show to take your live Twitter questions. Don't start sending them in yet, but when I say start sending them in, just simply tweet to me at John Campea and send your questions on in, and we will take it from there. All right, now let's get on to the main part of the show, which is taking the topics that you guys have emailed into me, and we start off with this. The first one comes to us from one of my Patreon supporters, Sanwal Yousaf, who writes, "Love the show and all the work you do." Well, thank you so much, Sanwal. "I always hear that movie making is a business and is all about money. So I ask, why do studios make Oscar bait movies or movies that don't appeal to the widest possible audience? Why not just make blockbusters and movies with potential for making hundreds of millions of dollars? Why not just make movies which are guaranteed moneymakers?" All right. Thank you so much for the question, Sanwal. And I can see on the surface why you'd ask it. Like, hey, like if you're going to make a movie that, a movie for like $40 million, that maybe if you're lucky will make you $10 million profit or $11 million profit in like an Oscar bait movie, especially if it gets some Oscar buzz. Why make this? Why not just make guaranteed money makers? Why not just do that? Fair question. But I think the answer to that, and probably a lot of you guys at home are screaming this at your screen already. The reason is there's no such thing as a guaranteed moneymaker other than something with the word Star Wars on it. Not even something with Marvel, not even something with DC. Nothing else is guaranteed to make money. Look at Fantastic Four. Guaranteed blockbuster. No, it lost the money. Geostorm. That was designed to be a big blockbuster film. Look at it. Yeah, it lost them lots and lots of money. Blade Runner 2049, one of the hottest directors today. Big visual effects extravaganza. Gonna be a blockbuster. Lost the company tens, almost hundreds of millions of dollars. There is no such thing as a guaranteed moneymaker. Other than something with the label Star Wars on it, there's nothing that's guaranteed money making. The other thing to take into consideration is this. These big blockbusters, like a Transformers, like a Justice League, like an Avengers, these also come with much higher risk. You are putting in hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Your stake and your risk is much higher. You put out a film like Happy Death Day for $4.8 million, guess what? Your risk is minimalized. You have a minimalized risk. And then when it comes out and makes $75 million, you invested 4.8, you get 75, that's a party. That's time to go to the old strip club and have a good time. That's when things are rolling really well. Also, like a friend of mine used to say this, there are two ways to make $1 million, all right? Two ways. One, sell 1 million things for $1 each, or two, sell one thing for $1 million. The moral of the story is that there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to make money. And yeah, you can put out 1 or 2 or 3 big blockbusters, but you can put out 8, 9, or 10 of the smaller level films, hopefully make a little bit of profit on those. And at the end of the year, hey, you theoretically could be in a position where we made just as much money off these 7 or 8 smaller films as we did out here, but we made smaller amounts of money over a longer period of time here. Like, so there's more than just one way of doing business. It's like saying to Apple, hey, why make anything else other than the iPhone? Just make the iPhone. Just make the iPhone. Why make all this other stuff? You're not going to make as much money making earbuds. You're not going to make as much money making that, whatever they call their stupid proprietary connection, Lightning. Is that what they call it? I don't know. You're not going to make as much money making these Lightning adapters. No, but it all adds up. It's all money. And it adds up. And there are markets that are looking for movies like Pride and Prejudice that aren't necessarily going to go watch Justice League. Do you just ignore that market? Do you ignore that money that's out there? Even though it's not as much money, you still go after that money. And you make a budget your product responsibly because you realize, Pride and Prejudice isn't going to make $400 million at the box office. So you budget it wisely and you make profit and you make money. It's all about making money, baby. All about making that money. All right, thanks a lot for the question. Let's move on to the next one. And the next question today comes to us from Kyle Carragher, who writes, hey, John, huge fan of the show. Thank you so much, Kyle. Ryan Gosling is my favorite actor, starring in some of my favorite films such as Crazy Stupid Love, The Nice Guys, Blade Runner 2049, and La La Land. Do you believe Gosling is in the conversation for being one of the best actors in Hollywood, or does he need to do more challenging roles like Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler or McEvoy in Split? Well, thanks a lot for the question, man. And look, Ryan Gosling is a hell of an actor. There's no getting around that. He is one hell of an actor. He's great. And he appears in some wonderful movies, and he elevates the movies that he's in. Any actor, any 155 pound of wasteless flesh can be in a successful movie. The question is, does that actor elevate the movie? Ryan Gosling is an actor who elevates his movies that he's in. Full marks to him for that. I'm not ready, though, to put him in the conversation. Like, if you say one of the best actors, do you mean top 20? If you mean top 20, then sure. Yes, he's in that conversation. I'm not sure I'm willing to put him in that top 5 conversation yet. And one of the reasons is because of something you pointed out in your question. I want to see him do something a little more outside the norm. I want to see Ryan Gosling do something that stretches him a little bit more. Whether it's something like a Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler or a Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight or something along those lines. I'd like to see him try something a little bit outside of his comfort zone. Now, you can make an argument. La La Land, singing and dancing, that's outside. Hey, yep, I'll give him that. He sang and danced. But something that will give us a little bit more of a range. And you're right, like you're looking at films that he's in, like Notebook, so solid in that. Crazy Stupid Love, a tragically underrated film. If you have not seen Crazy Stupid Love, you are depriving yourself. I love that movie. Him, Marissa Tomei, I was going to say Michael Scott. Michael Scott is in the movie. I mean, look, it's just a special film. Go and check it out if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, I don't know that I'm ready to put him in that category yet. I don't know that I'm willing to say Gosling is like one of the top 5, 4, 3 actors in the world right now. I'm just not quite there yet. I need to see a little bit, but he could very easily pop up in there. All right. 2 more email questions, then I'm going to go to the live stuff. This next one comes to us from Patreon supporter Nathan Ovendale, who writes, hey, John, great job on all you do. Thank you so much, Nathan. So with The Last Jedi fast approaching, I think one of the things I'm most looking forward to is we get another John Williams score. Amen to that, brother. So in your opinion, which John Williams score is his greatest? Is this even possible to answer? I struggled, and I think E.T., but I could change my mind tomorrow. Look, John Williams is simply the best there's ever done. He's simply the best. There is no other composer where I could hum 10 bars or less of 10 plus of his pieces, and you would instantly recognize them. Like if I just start humming, bum, 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 you know that's Superman. Instantly, you know that's Superman. If I just suddenly go, bum, 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 you'll stop me right away. You go, no, that's Raiders of the Lost Ark. Obviously, bum, 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 bum. Oh, that's the Imperial March. The Star Wars theme. If you'll go, da, 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 da. Oh, Jurassic Park. You stop me right there, Jurassic Park. I mean, you can go on and on and on and on and on. You cannot do that with any other composer in history. There's no other composer that makes such memorable music that becomes instantly attached in our associative cognitive state of connecting the movies to the music. Nobody's ever done it as good as John Williams. Dare I say, nobody ever will. Now, I think somebody might have asked me a very similar question to this on Star Wars Talk Tuesday a few weeks ago. And I would say this. I think if you look at the full movie, not just in an individual score, if you look at the full movie, E.T. is certainly a contender. I still go with Empire Strikes Back. And it's not even mostly because of the Imperial March, although that is the most iconic, memorable piece of music ever written for the movies. But, and I'm a little biased, I'm a Star Wars freak, Superman's up there too. But if you really just look at the whole score and the way it's done, it's a breathtakingly gorgeous score. So for me, it's Empire Strikes Back, but I'm sure everybody would have a different opinion. What do you guys think? What's your most favorite, most memorable, overall John Williams score to a movie? Jump into the comments section and let me know. All right, guys, heading into the last question of the day, and then I'm going to open up to the Twitter questions. You can start getting your Twitter questions ready if you guys are watching live. And we start off with this. Joge Luis Martinez writes, "Hey, John, do you think the reason the Justice League embargo continues is because of the reshoots, which took the movie more time to be ready, and just until now, they haven't been able to preview for the critics?" Nope, that's not. I've had a lot. The reason I took this question is because I've been having a lot of people tweet me very similar questions. Hey, do you think the reason they haven't removed the review embargo is because they went so late in doing their reshoots and all that kind of stuff? And the answer to that is no, because they already screened it. It has already been screened for a small number of people. The wider critic screenings are happening, all I'll say is within the week. The wider critic screenings are happening within the week. I got my invite, but I can't say when it is. But so that's already happened. So, but because there's already been a screening, that means no, it's done. They can lift this review embargo anytime they will, anytime they want. Now, we are 6 days, well, 7 days, maybe 8. 8 days, well, 7 really. We're really 7 days away from this movie opening to the public wide. The official release date, of course, is November 17th, but really we all know that means Thursday the 16th. That's when the first public screenings are really happening. So we're 7 days away. Oh my God, we're 7 days away. We are 1 week away from this movie opening and still no movement on the Justice League embargo. Now, I have said confidently from the beginning, I firmly believe that they will lift the Justice League embargo earlier. I am starting to question that just because we're now 1 week away and we've still heard nothing about an embargo date lifting. I am starting to question that. If I had to put $10 on it, I still believe they will move that embargo date. I still believe they will move it. If they don't move it, is that a cause for concern? Yes, it is a cause for concern. I'm not saying it's a cause for panic. There are things worth hitting the panic button. There are things worth panicking about. I don't think this is necessarily something worth panicking about. If they don't move it, I would be concerned. I'll qualify it as concern. I think all fans would be a little concerned if they keep the review embargo till 24 hours before the movie opens. Concerned, but not panic. Not panic. But I still believe they will move that date. But the reason that is not because the movie wasn't ready, because they've already done a screening for a small group of people. The movie's already finished. So they can lift if they wanted to, Warner Brothers could put out an email blast today and say, hey guys, review embargo lifted. Go ahead and list your reviews. They could do that if they want. So they're ready to do it. We just have to wait and see whether they do lift it early or not. I still think they will. So that's my thought on that anyway. All right, guys, that will do it for the email questions today. Right now, though, before I get to your Twitter questions, it's time for my daily commercial break where I do my little shameless plug for my Patreon. Now, as most of you guys know, I made the decision to leave the corporate overlords. I didn't want to work for a corporation anymore. I wanted to do things on my own, be an independent independent content creator. And the only reason I've been able to do that and create shows like this is because of the support of my Patreon supporters. Listen, guys, do me a favor. If you enjoy my programs, if you spend any time every week or every month watching some of my videos, do this for me. Go on over to www.patreon.com/John Campea. There you will get all the information you need to find out what does it mean to be a Patreon supporter and what does that entail. Also, how being a Patreon supporter makes you directly responsible for making these videos happen. And thirdly, also the benefits of being a Patreon supporter. So head on over there, just get that information, and then maybe you'll decide to become one of my Patreon supporters too. Some people support me for like $100 a month. Some people support me for like $2 a month. Whatever it is, you contribute and makes these videos possible. And if you can't, no problem whatsoever. I'm just happy you're a fellow film fan here for the discussion too. All right, guys, with all that out of the way, I'm surprised the battery on this camera hasn't run out yet. I'm going to go now over to the Twitter questions, and we're going to start off with this one. Here we go. The first one comes to us from I am Zari Rudin, who writes, John, don't you think Justice League is Zack Snyder's film? About 90% of the scenes are his. No, I do not think that. I think, look, Ben Affleck basically accidentally or on purpose revealed his hand months ago. Like before Warner Brothers PR told all the cast what they're supposed to say, Ben Affleck, you can look this up, made this comment a while ago saying this Justice League is now truly a film of two directors. And it's got both of Zack Snyder's and Joss Whedon's sensibilities. And it's going to be both of their movies. Now, Snyder is going to be the director of credit. Absolutely. I also believe that more of this film is going to be Zack Snyder than Joss Whedon. I think more, like if you had to say it's not going to be 50-50, I think more of it's going to be Zack Snyder. But I do think Joss Whedon definitely put his fingerprints on it. I think you're definitely going to feel Joss Whedon's presence, and I think that's going to be for the best. I've been saying forever, this excites me. The tragedy which led to this notwithstanding, this situation excites me. You get the visual storytelling talents of a Zack Snyder with the dialogue and character and narrative talents of a Joss Whedon. And there goes the camera. The camera died. So it's a good thing I was ready with backup camera. This one here. So the camera just died, but I'm ready for a backup. Okay, so here's the thing. You take those skills and those talents of Joss Whedon and those skills and those talents of, say, of Zack Snyder, and you put them together, and you are in for one hell of a ride. So I'm excited about that. Me personally, I know some people are worried about it. I'm excited about it, but I know it's not 90% Zack Snyder's film. This is going to be closer probably to a 65-35 kind of a mix, and you're going to feel Zack Snyder all over the film, and I believe also you're going to feel Joss Whedon all over the film as well. All right, let's move on now to the next question. And the next question comes to us from David Hawk _actor. I'm guessing you're an actor, David. And David writes, with still more news about future DC movies coming out, doesn't that show that they aren't worried about Justice League? No, not necessarily. Personally, I don't think Warner Brothers is worried about Justice League anyway, but it doesn't necessarily because it's not, Warner Brothers isn't releasing announcements. These are all stories that news organizations are uncovering and revealing to the public. So remember, those are two different things. I still think, but regardless, I still think Warner Brothers has confidence in Justice League. That's why I still think they're going to lift that review embargo early. Let's see. This next one comes to us from Ethan Collins 017 writes, John, what do you think of the upcoming Robin Hood with Taron Egerton? It's not a movie I would have done, but I'm curious. I'm curious to see what they do with this thing. I think it's got some potential. I think there could be some very cool things in there. So yeah, and Taron Egerton, I'm a big fan. Did not so much like, you know what? At first I thought Kingsman 2 was good, just not as good as the first one. The more I think about it, it's not good. No, it's not good. I did not like Kingsman 2 at all, but that wasn't Taron Egerton's fault. All right, let's move on here. This one comes to us from Shay Mister, who writes, John, what movie do you want to see Drago's son fighting Creed or Drago having a daughter? Okay, I got a feeling the English may not be Shay Master's first language, which is cool. I applaud you for them for trying it. What movie do you want to see more? Drago's son fighting Creed or Drago having a daughter that hooks up with Creed? Well, They already spent a lot of time in the first Creed movie setting up Creed's love interest. All right. And she's a Valkyrie. So you don't want to mess with her. So I believe it was Tessa Thompson that played the love interest in Creed. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think it was Tessa Thompson, same girl who plays Valkyrie in Thor. So the daughter hooking up with him thing doesn't make any sense because they've already got their love interest. I mean, hey, we've seen these movies move on from one love interest to another love interest. Maybe that could happen again, I suppose, but I don't think so. So I'm all for Creed fighting Drago's son. I think that'll be fun. All right, next one. This one comes to us from, where is it? H Yin B, who writes, John, what's your favorite Western movie? Mine is Hateful Eight. Thanks and keep up the good work. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't thrilled with Hateful Eight. To be brutally honest with you, I was not thrilled with it. Unforgiven. It has to be one of the best and right up there. I believe it also won Best Picture at the Oscars. Unforgiven, of course, by Clint Eastwood. It's really great. I think 3:10 to Yuma with Christian Bale, Russell Crowe. I think that is an underappreciated movie. I think 3:10 to Yuma is all sorts of awesome. So that ranks right up there. Django Unchained ranks up there as well. But I'd say, yeah, in my top two would have to be probably Unforgiven and maybe 3:10 to Yuma. Those would be my top two. What do you guys think? What's tops your Western list? Okay, let's try this one. This one comes to us from the John T, who writes, John, hello, sir. Which sequel would you be most looking forward to? 3 Men and a Baby or Father of the Bride? I'm Father of the Brided out. Don't get me wrong, I like the Father of the Bride movies, but I'm Father of the Brided out. I've always thought it'd be really curious to see another 3 Men and a Baby. Get these three, get Steve Guttenberg back, get Ted Danson back, get Tom Selleck back, and now they've got like a 20-year-old girl that they've raised, and now she's getting married. There you go. It's like a mix of 3 Men and a Baby and Father of the Bride, only call it Fathers of the Bride. There you go. You're welcome, Hollywood. Send me my check. All right. Let's see. This one comes to us from Movie King 9, who writes, John, who's your favorite Guardians of the Galaxy member? Mine is Dead and Rocket. Oh, I know who you're talking about. Drax the Destroyer. Don't get me wrong, I like them all. I'm a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's great, but maybe it's because I got a big soft spot for Dave Bautista. But for me, Drax the Destroyer, which is one of the reasons I did not like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 nearly as much as I like Guardians of the Galaxy, is Drax the Destroyer was neutered. Drax the Destroyer had no action scenes other than the opening credits scene where there's just that battle that takes place behind the opening credits. Drax the Destroyer has no action. He's Drax the Destroyer. And there's no action for him. Horribly misused in that. All right, next one comes to us from TJ Lynn, 1981, who writes, John, do you recommend people who haven't seen Star Wars and prequels to see them in reverse order? I just recommend you don't watch the prequels. Just watch the original trilogy and watch the new films, and you're perfectly good to go. Let's see. S.M. McQueed writes, John, have you ever seen A Cure for Wellness? If yes, what are your thoughts about it? Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a little bit too ambitious for what it was actually trying to do. I thought it might have been overreaching a little bit, and that's why some of the movie came across as a little bit flat to me. But overall, I thought it was a great concept for a film. There was a real artistic edge to it without going too artistic like Mother. And so I enjoyed the film. Not one of the greats, but I enjoyed it. All right. Let's see. A sci-fi writer writes, John, thoughts on Patty Jenkins directing a Star Wars anthology or saga film? Do you think she could handle it? Well, do I think she could handle it? Sure. But you know my opinion on this. John, would you like X director directing X movie? Hey, as long as X director is a talented storyteller and filmmaker, then yes. Patty Jenkins is a talented and gifted storyteller, clearly. So sure, why not? I'd be for it. Let's see. This one comes to us from Disc299, who writes, John, which DCEU movie do you want to see after Aquaman in 2018? Let me see Justice League first. Let me get Justice League under my belt, and then I will be able to have a better idea. Obviously, I want Man of Steel too, because Man of Steel I still think is the best DCEU movie they've ever done. Man of Steel is awesome. I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I love the sensibilities they have with that character. But again, we got to see where they go. I'm going to sneeze here in a second. Pardon me. And I'm going to sneeze again in a second. We got to see, we got to see where they go with Justice League and how that all works out. Let's see. Kevin 4011 says, John Campea, okay, fine, I'll be your +1. Yeah, I put out on social media today the invitation I got to go to Justice League, which specifies I get to bring a guest. But that's already spoken for. Let's see. This one comes to us from Valentino, writes, John, do you think we'll get a Kingsman 3? I like the sequel and would love to see the end of the trilogy. I don't know. I mean, look, the second film made a lot less money than the first one did. And I also think the quality, I respect that you like the sequel. That's awesome. I celebrate that you liked it. All film is subjective. That's the great thing about being a film fan. I did not think the movie was very good. And I thought it was a poor follow-up. And it made a lot less money. So while Matthew Vaughn and a lot of people can be talking about Kingsman 3 and what they want to do in Kingsman 3, I actually have my doubts. Because remember, we always talk about trajectory, right? And the box office for Kingsman, the trajectory has gone down. So I'm not so sure that they'll do something. Let me adjust this camera a little bit. There we go. I'm not so sure that they'll go in that direction. But who knows? Well, one never knows. Let's see. I got time for just a couple of more here. This one comes to us from Darkest Dragon 88, who writes, John, thoughts on this week's episode of The Flash? I personally didn't like it at all. You know what? It's funny you say that. I quite enjoyed it. I had a couple of really good laugh out loud moments. It was just a charming in-between episode kind of thing, because I liked last week's episode very much. This week, of course, is the one with the bridal party. Now, there are things about the episode I didn't like, but I will go into more detail on that on tomorrow's episode of The Weekly Hero. Don't forget, The Weekly Hero is on tomorrow, guys, where I just sum up all of the week's superhero movie news, and I also sum up and talk about all the superhero TV shows that week. So I will talk about that a little bit more on The Weekly Hero. Okay, let's try this one. This one comes to us from GameLight7. John, what is the most ridiculous Star Wars fan theory you ever heard? Oh, that's easy. That's the Jar Jar Binks is Snoke thing. That one was clearly awful. Sebastian View writes, John, I always confuse Blade Runner with 1987's The Running Man with Schwarzenegger. Do you think it is worth a reboot/sequel? Didn't they do a reboot for Running Man? What was the one they did with Colin Farrell? I can't remember now. Wasn't the Colin Farrell one The Running Man? No, it wasn't. The Colin Farrell one was, what was the Colin Farrell one again? But it wasn't Running Man. It was the other one. I'd be down for that. I mean, especially in today's era of reality TV. Total Recall. Thank you, Coach T and Kellex and Joe Stanley and Matt Master and Matthew Leach and Mark Newman and Callius and Live to Connect 2. Everybody's telling me yes. So that was the one. Running Man, in today's age that is so obsessed with reality shows and a lot of game shows and stuff like that, yeah, Running Man could do with a reboot. I'd be down for that. Why not? All right. Let's see. This one comes to us from Tasty Goat Balls, who writes, John, why hasn't Joss Whedon given a press conference for Justice League? There was a press conference for Justice League. I don't think they include, I mean, obviously Zack Snyder was not connected with the DCEU anymore. Zack Snyder was not a part of it, but they decided not to make Joss Whedon a part of it too. Because, look, if you make Joss Whedon a part of it, then everybody's going to go, why wasn't Zack Snyder there? And I don't think they wanted to deal with that. And I totally understand that. And I don't think Joss Whedon wanted to deal with it. There was a press conference. It was held overseas. They did no press junket for Justice League in North America. That's also a cause for concern. Not panic, concern. That they didn't do one here, because that's normal operating procedure that they do, and they didn't do it this time. All right, guys, that will do it for today, for today's installment of the John Campea Show that started with one camera and then ended up with another camera. Thank you so much for joining me for today. Listen, guys, don't forget, if you like this show, click the thumbs up button, leave a comment, and when you comment and enter into these fun, fantastic debates and arguments about which movie is better than which, remember, we're all on the same team. We're all movie fans. So be passionate and engage in those debates, but just remember, the person you're debating with is on your side too. They're also a movie fan. They just like some different movies. Treat them with respect, just like you want to be treated with respect. That's the simple thing to ask for, right, guys? Let's do that. Also, don't forget, check out my Patreon page. Again, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That'll do it for me for now, guys. I got to go get ready to shoot my review for Coco. Spoiler, I really, really liked it. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.